Welcome to the Healthy Investor Podcast with Bob Mastroianni, where you and I will learn from successful real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and other highly driven individuals about their journey and the healthy habits and routines that play an integral part of their growth. All right, welcome back to the Healthy Investor Podcast. I'm your host, Bob Mastroianni. Today, I have with me Jeff Davis. Jeff moved from New Orleans to Houston after Hurricane Katrina and found work as a data entry clerk behind the desk of a logistics company. He began working on solving problems for customers and soon found himself regularly in customer-facing meetings, helping salespeople close deals. Eventually, he became a sales rep for a large Fortune 200 global logistics firm, where he's continued helping clients to this day. He invested his commissions in real estate since 2015, so his commissions could earn commissions, and has scaled into 952 unit portfolio. Jeff has seen the benefits of how real estate can help grow net worth and wants to help others do the same. So Jeff Davis, thanks so much for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be on.
Good. So let's get into it just a little bit. So you were working at a global logistics firm and decided to start investing your commissions into real estate. So what brought you to real estate and what did that look like for you?
Yeah, I guess going back to just being in sales, I think sales is a volatile role, or it can be, and we live in a volatile economy. And so just a little bit of the fluctuations of income and being a sole provider. This was a way to make sure that in no matter what environment, or as much as possible, just mitigating risk and having an extra paycheck every month. That's how I tried to stabilize our income.
Okay. And in the beginning, did you go directly into multifamily or larger multifamily, or what type of properties were you looking at?
No, absolutely not. It was rentals. So we had a rental, and that was petrifying, especially to my wife, she's more risk averse. And so we had a single family, and I mean, it was amazing, right? We did not have any vacancy time. It was already with a deposit and getting rental checks, and just really had very few hiccups other
Hmm.
than normal tenant issues.
Well, that's great. That's great. And then I sense that may not be 100% what happened.
Oh, well, not, as you get more and more, you start to have more problems.
Right, right. So then you moved into this. So now you have a 952 unit portfolio, which is obviously some larger multifamily units. So what was the transition like from the smaller, rentals into the larger multifamily?
So that transition took place last year when, as COVID hit, a lot of time at home, and I was just getting into some properties. I actually bought a property to take on as a rental, and then COVID hit, and I just went ahead and flipped it. And so then kind of got into several more and began just rehabbing these things and flipping them, and it just got a little bit easier and easier to flip in this environment. And um, I say easier to make it into a finance and flip.
Hmm,
However, the work involved was not easier. This was not
sure.
a scalable process. And I mean, I was coming home at 1 o'clock in the morning and then having to work, and I was exhausted.
Yeah.
We had another baby, so my wife was pregnant, and I bought another house, and she was she was none too happy that I got involved in another project. And one of my private money lenders is he's actually a syndicator. So I called him one day and said, I'm doing something wrong because you guys are on your second project now. And every time I finish a flip, I am starting from ground zero, and I'm all by myself. And I'm managing subcontractors who are like big babies.
Yeah.
So how do I do this? and that's how they introduced me to the group that you and I are in, the education platform, and I looked away from single family and never looked back.
So in the last year, you've been able to build that portfolio. That's amazing. So you're part of syndication deals, and then are you
Right.
sitting on LP side and GP side, a little bit of both, or how
Absolutely.
does that look for
Yeah.
you?
I'm on both. I'm on
Great.
both. So I began investing as an LP. I made a lot of profit last year, tremendous amount of profit over the past 2 years in single family, reinvested it all into either syndications or education. And then I've also been blessed to have an opportunity to co-GP on opportunities, and then have found in our community just fantastic people that want to just have and lead deals. And so being on the hunt, on building relationships with brokers here in the Houston market, and we talk every night and, and underwrite deals. And I wouldn't be surprised if here, but in the next day or two, we actually have a deal under contract that we're syndicating ourselves.
Oh, that's great.
So
That's great.
yeah,
And
pretty fun.
that puts you in the four digits, right? Puts you over the 1,000 unit mark, huh?
Well, I have to. I think I'm over that now. I think we're
Good
at
for
about
you.
1,200. Yeah,
Wow, great. So
which shows the scalability of multifamily.
yeah, yeah. So are you do you still have any other smaller properties at this point?
No,
No,
I
so
do
you
not have
totally are
any.
out of that game.
Yeah, it is. I am single-minded and solely focused on building out this commercial portfolio.
That's great. I love hearing that. So you and I haven't had the opportunity to meet just yet in person, but part of my story is that I've been investing in real estate since 2008, then mostly residential, 1, 2, 3, 4 unit properties, did some fix and flip, some wholesaling, those sort
Mhm.
of things. And
Right.
that's sort of where I am right now, and that I am transitioning to and one of the tugs that I've had has been, do I sell these properties and just go all in on the other end? Do I pull equity out and keep them? And that has been a little bit of a tug back and forth on
Right.
where to go next.
Yeah, and it is a tug, but because I have had um just 2 weeks ago, a wholesaler brought me a deal, and I said, wow, your numbers are actually legitimate, right? You're an honest wholesaler. And it took me the weekend to think about it, because I could easily get that, and it was close to my house. And I texted him on the Sunday and said, I'm not gonna I'm actually, making these strides in the multifamily space that I'm in, and it has been a year in the making. I want to just stay the course,
Yeah.
because this time next year, I don't want to have taken this 6-month detour. I'm making very, very good progress, so I don't want to take a sidetrack,
Yeah. Well, good for
and it's
you
hard.
for being able to stick to your guns on that. So I know in conversations with many other investors, especially those who have come from the flipping side of the business and are moving into um, the what we refer to, I guess, as commercial passive investing, right? Syndication and
Right.
larger multifamily. I had an opportunity to speak with someone just I guess about 2 months ago now, and he was saying that it seems to creep up every once in a while. It's like, I could just do this one more flip, and then I'll make a really good amount of money on it, and then I'm going to pull that cash flow and I'm going to move it in, and then a few months later another flip pops up, and then a few months later another flip pops up, and it's sort of hard to get out of that. So good for you for knowing where your focus is, knowing where your goals are, and sticking to that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's easier said than done.
I'm absolutely sure of that. So I want to transition just a little bit. So you work in global logistics, supply chain, and before we
Yeah.
jumped on, you spoke a little bit about yourself being the supply chain investor, and I'd love to hear you
Mhm.
Talk a little bit about that. How do you feel that affects the current real estate market, and where do you think we're going? The Fed announced just today that they're going to bump another 3/4 of a point to try and hedge that
Yeah.
inflation the best that they can. So where do you see this going?
Yeah, that's a great question. And if you've been doing some rehabs anytime in the past 18 months, I would imagine that you've kind of felt it. I know that I did. I was doing some massive work last year, and the budget just got completely destroyed because of lack of availability of product on the shelves, windows and doors.
Mm,
You just had to wait. So these things got affected. And so the big question is why, right? What happened? And I can sum it up pretty quickly here for you. Um, Most everything that we have is connected in some way to overseas manufacturing, and the large bulk of that product moves overseas on container ships. And when the U.S. and Europe shut down for the 14-day period, what that actually did was not stifle demand. What it did was redirect the US consumers' spending habits,
mm,
because we could no longer go to restaurants, and then we could no longer travel, and we could no longer go to movies. But what we could do is sit on Amazon and spend money like crazy people. And that's exactly what we did.
yeah.
So we ordered consumer products online. So those distribution channels got completely swamped with demand, and the demand really spiked. It went hyperbolic in that point of time. So the ocean vessels continued, and you had nobody to unload them at the ports because COVID restrictions. And that's why in January of this year, you had a severe congestion at the LA ports. And at this time, our container price went 10 times as much as normal. It
Wow.
10x'd. So to put it in perspective, if you are a typical, I look behind you at your living room there. If you're importing couches uh, for a living, a furniture wholesaler, and your annual budget is $500,000 for transportation, all of a sudden you were spending 5 to $8 million just to move products from point A to point B and get them ready for sale.
Wow. Yeah, that's very interesting. And interesting that you even mentioned, windows and doors. And I think back to sort of beginning of pandemic, right? That March through maybe June or July timeframe. And many conversations that I had with people were like, oh, we're doing a project around the house. We're doing a project around the house because people were
Mhm.
home. People we're not, as you said, we're not able to go to restaurants, right? So maybe you had your
Correct.
restaurant money put aside. You're staring at these walls that you have been saying you're going to paint for years or whatever.
Correct. Right.
We redid our kitchen during that time frame, and I remember going to Home Depot to pick things up and
Hardware.
had to order everything online, getting
Mhm.
hardware, getting paint, and you know, it was just a very, very different experience. And so that's just on the homeowner side. But then, of course, that has effect on the investor side. That has the effect on the contractor side, right? If the homeowners are buying
Exactly.
significantly more windows, doors, supplies than they normally
Mhm.
do, then that's less that the contractors are able
Right.
to get a hold of.
Well, think about an everyday business, right? And Lowe's and Home Depot are everyday businesses, and they've got procurement teams who have a typical day, and they're watching their inventory levels. And so they submit a purchase order overseas, and then there's a lead time. There's a everyday process, and these things move on a weekly vessel, and the vessel leaves, and 14 days later it arrives and it gets unloaded. These things move. It is a system, and it has been working for 100 years. So it's also very delicate.
Yeah.
And when you have such a big black swan event, where vessels just are all of a sudden not moving, then the entire system gets disrupted.
So how do you think that that is overall affecting real estate investing today? Obviously we're 2 years out from that, or 2 years into it, I should say. How do you think it is? Has it rebounded some? Has it, where do you think it is today?
Yeah, so twofold, right? So we talked about how there was such a high demand that we couldn't get stuff on the home front. Well, let's look at it from a multifamily builder, a single family builder, a homeowner. These affects us as investors because our syndicators put out a budgeted plan of execution,
Hmm.
and cabinets and cabinet hardware, they were delayed because the distribution networks were completely emptied throughout the US and nobody could get anything. Well, that part is normalized. So now warehouses are fully stocked. If you're going to the store, I'm sure you're not having any problems finding your products. They're all there. The challenge goes back to that price that I was explaining to you, where everybody was paying what used to be a $5,000 container was going up to $28,000 just to move it. And then plus all of your destination, right? All your trucking. So all of these costs, now all the product that's in the warehouse, it includes that additional cost.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
inflation,
sure,
right?
right.
So now all the products that are in the distribution channels are much more expensive. And that's a result of all of our increased demand, right? All of our
Sure.
I need it, and I need it now. So where we're at now is we have it, and we're going to pay a lot more for it. Well, as of June, the demand significantly dropped. And I mean dropped by about 50%. So if it trends the same way it did with these historically high prices last year and going into the beginning of this year, and inflation and consumer prices not getting affected until early this year, then we're probably looking at prices coming down by Q1 to Q2.
Mm,
And that is where I lead this into the real estate discussion. The Fed is aggressively raising interest rates because of inflation, which is a direct result of this demand, right? Everybody was freaking out. Well, they're looking at earlier this year. They're
right.
looking at Q1 and Q2 data,
Hmm.
and they're looking at last month. So if all the prices start to come down by Q1, Q2, the Fed will start to reduce prices or reduce the interest rate by Q3 of next year.
Well, it seems like
Bold
many of those
prediction.
things. Yeah, it seems like
A
many of
bold
those things,
prediction.
especially when when you're talking about the Fed, it's reactionary, right? So it's reaction to how the
Yeah.
last quarter was, or how the last month was, or those kind of things. But yeah, that's a great prediction. I love the I love the sounds of your prediction. So,
Yeah.
um, but it has to. Well, I almost made one of those statements. It has to give, but it doesn't have to do
No, it
anything.
doesn't. The Fed could keep on raising for the next 2 years, right? But that's how I'm penciling it out, just based on what just happened,
Yeah,
right? I mean, these in our industry, we were looking at these prices saying none of this is making sense until it made its way through the distribution channels.
yeah,
And as soon as the US consumer started feeling these additional costs, nobody's buying it. And you have very large big box retailers with warehouses full. Look at
mm,
Bed Bath and Beyond, right? They are suffering
yeah.
because they
Okay.
paid a premium.
Well, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah.
Look out for Black Friday sales. They're going to be
Okay.
great this year.
Yeah. And I recall a time not all that long ago, December of 2020, we bought furniture 2 days after Christmas. I still remember it. December 27th, we went and bought furniture. And sometime that
Yeah,
summer, we had it.
yeah, yeah,
But that was just, and at the time, I remember the lady telling me, we're about 12 to 16 weeks out. And we were buying furniture for our basement, our finished basement that we don't spend a ton of time in anyway. So it was like, this isn't a need. We can wait 16 weeks if that's what it takes. And I
Right.
think a portion of it came in April, and then the final portion came sometime in June.
Right. Right. And you should not have those issues right now.
Yeah.
And we're looking at new furniture.
Mhm.
Uh, it's just kind of I'm very hesitant to buy furniture right now or a car.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy any big ticket item right now.
Well, based on your prediction, which I really like, it makes sense to wait a few more months because furniture is going to go down,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Luckily, I have 2 big furniture customers, so I'm
Okay.
gonna try and go get them wholesale anyway.
Okay, great. Well, I love your bold prediction, and I love that we went this route because I don't think we've really had this kind of conversation on my podcast yet. So I really appreciate that you went down this route and added your knowledge. I mean, you have experience, years of experience in this industry, and it's very
Yeah.
interesting to bring that to again speak about it from a real estate perspective.
Yeah, and it's the fun part about our business, right, is we kind of see things 6 to 12 months out before they happen,
Mhm.
and it's kind of, what I call the canary in the coal mine. And it is, it is an indicator. And even Wall Street uses some trucking indices to determine where the economy is and how it's doing. So it's a Wall Street indicator as well.
All right. Well, I like that. So I want to transition over and talk about, this is the Healthy Investor Podcast. And what I really like to do, so speaking to different investors, meeting people over the years and many successful people, one of the things that I've learned is that so many of them have some sort of healthy habit, routine, maybe even a fitness program that they're involved in or something like that, that really helps towards their success, helps towards their business success and personal development. So what does that look like for you?
Uh, every morning I'm up early, and so me and Bobby, my workout partner Bobby,
Okay.
we're at the gym, and so we used to do CrossFit. And now we do a modified workout. So we do weights and then some sort of metabolic conditioning. So we make up a cardio workout of some sort after some heavy lifting. But that's every morning, and I don't feel right if I don't do it in the morning.
And is that 7
Um,
days? Or do you
5
take a
days.
rest day?
Yeah,
5 days?
couple of rest days.
5 days.
5 days.
Okay,
Yeah,
good, good. All
Monday
right.
through Friday. I'm not allowed to leave on the weekends. We
Okay.
have 5 kids, so she needs some support.
That's fair. You'll be taking kids with you to the gym if you leave on Saturday, right?
Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, it's a mental thing. It is, important. It's how I start the day, and I always joke, I'm getting the hardest part of my day over with first.
Mm. And so you're doing muscle building or fitness, and then also
Mhm,
are you doing muscle and cardio, or a
mhm,
combination of
yeah,
both? Okay.
mhm, yeah, it's a good hour and 10-minute workout.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how do you feel that affects, your personal growth, your development? Do you feel that there are effects on your business side from that too?
I think it has to, right? I mean, when you're
Mhm.
starting off the morning, I get home and I am pumped, and so already, uh, I'm in a good mood. I come home, I'm kind of making breakfast for the family and sending kids off to school, singing. I'm in a great mood and and ready to take on the world. So definitely, I'm a morning person, and I am in a much better place uh, to take on any kind of challenges. Because, like I said, we work out pretty hard,
Yeah.
so there's not really some sort of challenge that I don't, that's going to be undertaking that's harder than the workouts we do.
Yeah. So do you ever find yourself, do you participate in any events like Tough Mudder events or anything like that?
Love the Tough Mudder.
You
Yeah.
do? Okay.
Well,
I
you
just,
can't see my bookshelf. Yeah, I've done 2 of them,
okay.
and we're looking to do a Spartan race here, I think in the spring.
Oh, wow. So yeah, I did one Tough Mudder with two friends of mine. I definitely would do it again. I think I did a 10-mile Tough Mudder. It was 10
Mhm,
miles and
mhm.
20 some obstacles, close to 30 obstacles in Pennsylvania, not too far from my home. The only thing that I will say about Tough Mudder is I probably would not do any of the shocking parts again. I think I may have.
The electric.
Yeah, yeah. I was shocked right on my head, and that was not a great feeling.
One time I did it, and then another time I did not.
Yeah.
So
And that's one thing I do like about the Tough Mudder because there's a portion of it obviously that for those who've never done it, there are a couple little areas where you can get shocked with some low voltage electricity, but you don't have to go through it. So if there's something that you probably don't feel right about, or maybe you have some sort of heart condition or something, it's probably a good idea to skip over that one and jump to the next one. But I love the idea of the community. When I did the Tough Mudder,
mhm,
there were events or there were obstacles where it was like, you have to have a partner on this one.
absolutely.
And then there are
Several
obstacles.
sometimes.
Yeah. And then there were obstacles where you didn't have to, but you really needed the hand. There were so many different obstacles where someone would get to the top, and as soon as they got to the top, they would turn around and reach their hand down. And I just really enjoyed that community part of it.
It made it so fun, because we were talking about the Spartan and, the folks that I did the Tough Mudder with 2 times, they've kinda disbanded and they don't do it anymore. And then Tough Mudder, I think, is out of business. I don't know. They definitely don't come around here. Um, but I don't have a group that I can go run the Spartan race with.
Hmm.
And so if it works out, I mean, I'm really very excited to go to it. It's so
Yeah.
much fun. But it's not something to fly solo on.
No, no, yeah. Well, that's really cool. That's cool. So, anything on the docket, or do you have any events planned right now that you're working towards in your fitness routine?
I'm trying to get over my tennis elbow.
Ah,
That
okay.
is, I don't know if you've ever had it, but right now, and for the past 3 months, I've had tennis elbow.
Okay.
So, like I can't do any upper body,
Hmm.
so it's all cardio and squats for me.
Okay.
It's all cardio, squats, lunges,
Yeah.
and it's really rough. It's really boring. That's what I have going on. Uh,
And everyone hates leg day, and that's all you're doing is leg day, right?
that's yeah, that's what my workout partner actually said. He's like, Jeff does leg day. And we make fun of the guys who we watch at the gym who skip, like, he skips.
He's
But, I mean, you can only get so creative, and I'm doing it, like, 3 times a week, and it's just getting very boring.
yeah,
Uh, so, the tennis elbow is painful, I will admit that. Don't
yeah,
get it.
yeah. So I do a real good amount of cardio. I do a lot of running. Right now it's cross country season. I coach my daughter's middle school cross country team, so I'm out there running with them 3 nights a week, and then we have events on Saturdays. So I do a good amount of cardio, and
Yeah.
I really need to start instituting more muscle building. And one of the things that I've learned about myself, so I participate in, or compete, I guess is a better term, but I compete in a few triathlons a year. And one of the things
Wow.
that I'm really noticing is that the stronger people, when things get tough, the people who have more muscle mass, the people who are stronger, that's when they really are able to kick it up a little bit more. So many of us focus on just trying to become a little bit faster, be able to last a little bit longer as far as running or biking or swimming. And I've really noticed that I could use definitely some muscle building
Hmm.
help with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been focusing on losing some weight. I'm a little bit pudgy, and so I've been keto and just keto and cardio lately. My daughter's in cross country, so I know the schedule.
Oh yeah. Okay. It's a
Yeah,
great
she's in
sport.
middle school. Yeah, she's in middle school cross country actually. So Saturday meets.
Hmm. The one thing I love about cross country is, and when we're trying to recruit other kids to join, I always tell them, in our cross country meets, our meets are around 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, depending on where the meet is. And, they shoot the gun off, all the boys run, they're done in 20 minutes. Then all the girls run, they're done in 20 minutes. An hour, you're out of there. It's not like, you know, 6 hour track meet or 6 or 7 hour swim meet. You're in and out in an hour.
Yeah, yeah, the swimming. You're there. You're committed.
Yeah.
You're committed there. Yeah, that's for sure.
That's great. Well, I want to be mindful of your time. I really appreciate you coming on. I want to jump into the final segment, which is where I ask the same three questions of all of my guests. So for you, Jeff, what is your definition of success?
Being able to dictate my own schedule, and that looks like, having a business that I can hand over to my kids, and hopefully they want to do it. That is
Yeah.
success. I mean, I, we went and toured a property. I walked it, and I got to take my wife. We're homeschooling one of my daughters, and we have a baby. And we went, and that's what we did. And then we had lunch after, and I just completely geeked out.
Yeah.
Of course, my 11-year-old's like, whatever, it's apartment. But I mean, my wife knows that's my ultimate dream. Is that's your schedule, and you're managing your schedule, and you're making money doing it. And it's not about I don't care how much it is, but if my needs are covered, and maybe it's 12 hours one day, but 2 hours the next, that is awesome to me.
Yeah. I love the concept of time freedom, right? And
Yeah,
real estate investing really helps to promote that.
yeah.
So, question number two, for someone who is new to investing or even learning to focus on their goals and their path to success, can you give us a good book recommendation?
Well, I think there's the Purple Bible, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
I think that is good. I think 4 Hour Work Week is another one. They're two
Tim
kind of
Ferriss.
different
Yeah.
approaches. Um, One is like basically understanding asset management, right? And what your money's going to do to work for you. The other one is not working too hard, like making your business work for you,
Yeah.
which goes into that time management.
Sure. Great. So before we get into the final question, again, I want to thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. How can we support you, and how could others reach out to you if they wanted to touch base?
Yeah. So there's a reason that I really like multifamily, and I have a white paper on it. And you can just go download that 7 reasons that we like multifamily. And that's at multifamilyadvice.com, multifamilyadvice.com. Go in there, download that white paper, and reach out to me. You'll see all my contact information there, and you'll get a few emails. But get that white paper and figure out how you can join my investor club.
That's great. And I appreciate you offering that white paper. I'm going to go check it out too, because I'm sure there's really valuable information on there that we could all use. So very nice. If you could think back with me to a young Jeff, around 10 to 12 years old, knowing what you've learned on your journey, what are three pieces of advice that you would give yourself or any preteen child to help guide them towards success?
I have 5 kids, and they are all very, very different. And so I'll be honest, I can't remember back when I was 12. I was staring at you trying to think what grade is that, and where was I? And my parents moved me around a lot. So I was a guinea pig. So I didn't have a lot of friends. Um, uh, so I don't have much of memory other than bad. I was picked on. So not many people like me. But my
Okay.
kids, I try to just try to teach them like enjoy it, right? Don't try and grow up too fast. And then nurture the friendships that you do have. Um, and at 12, don't take too much too seriously. My one daughter, she takes that cross country so seriously. It's like, you know, don't beat yourself up too bad.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, third place is good, but
Right. Sure.
um,
That's
it's
great.
more I try and focus on the teenagers, trying to steer them in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much. And I appreciate you offering that download. For those of you listening, check him out. We'll make sure to put the link in the notes, but make sure you check out that white paper, 7 things that I love about real estate investing. Is that correct?
7 reasons we like multifamily.
Okay, great. And for those of you who are listening, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it, and go out there and make it a great day. Thanks so much for joining me on the Healthy Investor Podcast. Check out the show notes for more information about connecting with our guest. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please head on over to iTunes and leave a positive rating and review. It would mean the world to me. I'm grateful for your support, and I wish you an abundance of success on your journey to healthy investments and a healthy life.